one reason why a lot of people are so skeptical when it comes to taking the jab is because of the experience that we have in this country with Dengvaxia. All right, in 2016, Dengvaxia was introduced in the Philippines. So the Philippines is the first country alongside Brazil that introduced immunization among children. So in 2016, the DOH spent billions of pesos to acquire Dengvaxia. But one thing that a lot of people don't know is that Dengvaxia in 2016 was not approved by the FDA. It was experimental. And we've heard so far that there were cases, hundreds of children were hospitalized. There were tens or dozens of deaths following the vaccination or Dengvaxia vaccination. And for you to say that, hey, this is not because of the vaccine, well, hear me out again, okay? Here are the scenarios that happened after that. The Philippines DOH was demanding that it be refunded 3.5 billion pesos spent on Dengvaxia. The demand was made from Sanofi, so the manufacturer of Dengvaxia. So 3.5 billion. All right. So why the hell would our DOH demand that amount of money if these vaccines were effective? So it turned out that it wasn't effective. So now let's check on one of the most reputable research sites in the world. So Lancet, for example. So the Lancet, it says here, the Philippines was among the first countries in the world to introduce the Haemophilus influenza, a type B vaccine, etc. So it says here in 2016, the Philippines was the first country alongside Brazil to introduce a national immunization campaign for dengue using Dengvaxia. However, as reported in our editorial in February 2018 and late 2017, health authorities in the Philippines decided to stop the immunization campaign after 14 children died out of more than 800,000 inoculated with Dengvaxia in 2016 and 2017. It says here, although no death was directly linked to the vaccine, just like the cases that we have today, these deaths, because there were no further investigations done, the deaths after the COVID vaccine, for example, okay, no link. And if we're gonna search on Google again, for example, the COVID deaths, there were like disclaimer, not link or no link to the COVID vaccine. But here, although no death was directly linked to the vaccine, concerns were further raised by a study funded by Sanofi Pasteur, the producer of the vaccine, that indicated that dengue seronegative children vaccinated with Dengvaxia had higher chances of subsequent hospitalization for dengue than seropositive children. So these are the facts that we need to know about the Dengvaxia case. But you might say, don't compare apples to oranges. Well, this is actually apples to apples. All right, and it's actually very unfair to compare the two, because Dengvaxia vaccine went through a rigorous process of clinical trials. It took Sanofi, the producer or manufacturer, 20 years to develop this vaccine. 20 years. And not only that, it took them $1.8 billion, okay, of R&D to produce this Dengvaxia vaccine. So there you go. It's unfair to compare the two. Okay. Again, the facts are Dengvaxia vaccine took 20 years and $1.8 billion to produce, whereas the vaccines that we have today, the coronavirus vaccines, less than 2 years for them to come up with these products that they are now forcing us to take. All right, less than 2 years or less than 1 year. Okay, just think about that. Now, according to pharmaceutical technology, the dengue vaccine dilemma. Pharma giant Sanofi has been mired in controversy in the Philippines after allegations that its dengue vaccine, Dengvaxia, which had been used in a widespread school vaccination program, was linked to the deaths of children. Since the vaccine's ban in the Philippines has declared a national dengue epidemic, creating a public health dilemma as infection rates soar. And then here in the spring of 2016, Dengvaxia had a high-profile launch in the Philippines as the country, having been involved in every phase of clinical development, became the first in the world to access the live recombinant tetravalent vaccine. So the Department of Health spent $67 million, so that's like 1.5 billion on Dengvaxia and kick off a mass immunization program with the aim of vaccinating a million students by the end of the year. So in the case of Dengvaxia, it took years of like research and studies before, well, that was 2016, before they learned about the side effects of the vaccine. All right, so 2017, 1 year after that, safety concerns after relabeling. More than 6 months later, so 6 months after, more than 830,000 children had received at least one dose of the vaccine, Sanofi announced that it was changing its label to restrict its use to only those who had already been exposed to the dengue virus, etc. So now, I said earlier that the Dengvaxia vaccine was not approved by FDA because, again, it will take years, 5 years to 10 years before a vaccine can be approved by the FDA. So here, for example, first FDA approved vaccine for the prevention of dengue disease in endemic regions. So this was May 2019. So that was 17, 18, 3 years after the introduction of Dengvaxia in the Philippines. So the Food and Drug, this is FDA website, okay? The Food and Drug Administration announced today, May 1st, that the approval of Dengvaxia, the first vaccine approved for the prevention of dengue disease caused by all dengue virus serotypes. So basically, in 2016, without any FDA approval, Dengvaxia vaccine was just an experimental vaccine, and these children who were forced to undergo, I don't know if they were forced, but definitely it's mandated by law, right? Who went through this immunization program by the government that cost our government multi-billion peso in taxpayers' money. These children were like guinea pigs, all right, because the vaccine was experimental. So I'm just giving you a real life scenario or case that we've had in this country in the past about having all this, experimental vaccines. Okay, we just hope that in the future we're not gonna have any side effects. All right, we need to trust the process. I don't know, but I'm a very skeptical person. But color me skeptical again, and I don't give a damn about your bashing. All right, accuse me of spreading misinformation, etc. But if we're gonna check further, the only people who are spreading or group who are spreading this and misinformation are those in power, or they've been spreading information ever since the start of this pandemic. For example, all these global organizations, WHO, the fake news media in the United States, including our useful idiot local media in the Philippines. What else? Including our government, the Joe Biden administration, they hid the fact. They concealed the fact that, including big tech as well, that there is a possibility, there is big evidence, okay, that the coronavirus actually came from the Wuhan labs. Okay, that was, labeled as conspiracy theory last year by big tech, by the fake news media, and the big tech censored anyone who shared any story containing the lab leak theory. All right, I'm actually one of the first, if not the first, Facebook user who was banned by Facebook. My Facebook account of more than 10 years. Okay, after sharing this, and that was March of 2019. All right, I remember vividly what happened in mid March of 2019. I shared a screenshot. Okay, I don't know if I can still find it on Twitter, that particular screenshot that I shared on a Facebook group, a private Facebook group of anti-PC or anti-politically correct. That's like a global, Facebook group of anti-PC people, and I shared this again a screenshot of a Twitter post of China Daily, okay, or China Global, if I'm not mistaken. So let me just search if I can still find it. All right, so I did Google. It's actually China Daily. This is what I shared in March of 2019. That was after the lockdown, or days prior to the lockdown, actually. So, because the lockdown was like 14, 15, 16 of March, right? So I shared this. This is a screenshot. So let me just show it to you. Take a look at the largest virus bank in Asia, Wuhan Institute of Virology in central China's Hubei province. Preserves more than 1,500 different strains of virus. I shared that with the caption that what's the possibility that this might have been a lab leak phenomenon. So that's what I shared to this anti-PC Facebook group. And like less than an hour, or like in just a couple of minutes after posting that, my Facebook was gone. My Facebook account of 10 years. This is exactly what I shared. And if you're gonna check, this post by China Daily was posted on May 2018. All right, so I'm just gonna try to get a clearer picture. So China Daily posted on Twitter May 29, 2018. Take a look at the largest virus bank. And I said, what's the possibility that this might have been a lab leak phenomenon? And again, after a couple of minutes, Facebook shut down my account of 10 years. So who's spreading information? Big tech has been censoring or censored millions of accounts all over the world without any consequences at all. So that's my rant for today. If you like this video, please comment, share, and subscribe. And this is again Politically Incorrect Asian Vlog. And have a good one to all of you.